Good morning and welcome to A View from the House. My name is Mkokeli Tanda. We have a full program this morning as we take a closer look at the South African Police Services. And we have invited senior representative of the ANC, the DA and the ACDP to talk to us about the state of the South African Police Services. We also recap on the sports and recreation budget vote debate that took place on Friday. We go to our first item. The South African Police Services have been dominating the news scene for some years now. It has not all been good publicity. In our program today, we take a closer look at the state of the South African Police Service. We specifically look at what has been happening in the top echelons of the men and women in blue and the impact it has or could have on the service delivery capacity of the police. We have invited three prominent members of parliament to talk to us about issues in the news. And we now welcome to the studio Annelies van Wyk, who is the leading ANC group, who's leading the ANC group in the Police Portfolio Committee. Welcome, Annelies.
Good morning, thanks.
We also say welcome to the DA Shadow Minister of Police, Diane Kohler-Barnett, and the leader of the ACDP, Reverend Kenneth Meshwe. Good morning and welcome to both of you. Good morning. We will also talk about the Police Service Amendment Bill currently before Parliament. But first, let's talk about the state of the South African Police Services. To kickstart our discussion, let's first hear from the official opposition, Ms. Diane Kohler-Barnett. What's your view about the state of the South African Police? Is SAPS fulfilling its constitutional mandate?
I think up until about 6 months ago, I was really quite positive. But unfortunately, since then, we've had the very grimy Richard Mdluli saga. Many people, myself included, believe he should have been suspended pending the outcome of a major investigation. We also have other issues such as the Treasury saying that the SAPS must downscale by 9,000 members, and that has come as quite a shock to some people. Whether it relates directly to maladministration of funds, certainly there has been a 78 million rand discovery by the Auditor General that SAPS have really done some really strange things with funding, and that only represents an audit of 5%. So it could be far, far worse than that, with irregular expenditure being a major problem. So that could be the answer. It could be that SAPS is merely wasting money. It could be that they're extending their budget. But either way, Treasury has put their foot down and said you will decrease by 9,000 members. That's another huge issue. But I think morale today in the SAPS is at an all-time low because they're now at a situation where they're almost three heads down.
Reverend Meshwe, your take?
Most South Africans are not inspired, and they are losing confidence when they see the fighting in the top echelons of the police. The unfortunate thing is that what's happening among the top management is affecting the foot soldiers. Those on the ground are asking the question, how can we trust our leaders and how can we give our best when our leaders are allegedly involved in corruption and nothing seems to be taken? When the hard stand is taken against ordinary officials who are involved in corruption, one expects that that would happen at all levels. But those that are at the top seems to be enjoying some protection, a measure of protection from those that they are politically connected to. So we are saying as the ACDP that whenever the top echelon of the police are fighting, that does not inspire confidence, not only in the public, but also in those that have to be on the ground to fight crime on a daily basis. That's why we are saying the president should have stepped in long ago to ensure that people's confidence in the top echelons of the police is not eroded. But unfortunately, what's happening today, many are saying, including some of the things that were allegedly said by the acting national commissioner, that there is a mafia in the police. So the ACDP is saying, deal with that mafia, deal with that corruption. Let nobody be seen to be untouchable in the police, regardless of their political connection. So the ACDP would want to see those that are involved in the top echelon in corruption being dealt with like everybody else.
Annelies, is there a mafia in the police?
That's the first time I hear that there's a mafia in the police. I think that's a very dangerous statement to make. Look, I think thousands of South African police service members, tens of thousands of South African police service members, take to the streets on a daily basis to protect all of our lives. And they do so with the necessary respect and with the necessary seriousness that they take their role in terms of protecting South African citizens. The overcrowding of our jails is just an example of it. Those people don't go there by chance. They're there because they've been arrested by somebody. Yes, it is unfortunate that we do have some sort of turbulence at the top amongst the top echelons of the police service, but those things are being dealt with. And I think the ANC is on record in the committee, but also in our speeches in the budget debate, that we've said unequivocally that whoever is involved in wrongdoing, no matter what their position, should be dealt with. There are processes currently in place. Currently there are 3 processes dealing just with the issue around General Ndluli. And I think one must respect those processes, wait for the outcome of those processes, and then the law must take its course from there on.
We'll talk more about the Ndluli saga, but first of all, Ms. Diane Kohler-Barnard, competency and lack or thereof coupled with the promotion of officials who don't have the necessary experience or skills seems to be in the increase. Is that indeed the case?
It is. It is indeed. The Public Protector has, at my request, begun an investigation into rather bizarre and irregular promotions within the SAPS. We're seeing family members come into the SAPS, bounced up through the ranks. We're seeing bodyguards bounced up, sometimes 6, 7 ranks overnight. And that's unheard of. It's very bizarre. It increases the despondency and attacks the morale of members who've served faithfully for sometimes 15 or 20 years. So yes, there is an investigation underway, and quite rightly so.
Is that your observation, Reverend Mesho?
Kokoli, if you talk to police unions, all of them, they are complaining about the issue of promotions. The committee also has complained. The committee has asked questions. What are the necessary steps? What are the functions or what are the qualities that you are looking for before you promote anybody? Because in some police stations, you would find an officer who is hardly at work, sometimes an officer who drunk at work. Some of them actually, they even have what we call a poozer face, you know, a person who's not doing their job. But war, to everybody's surprise, that person is promoted. When they have failed in their very station because they are always absent, then you hear that they are promoted. And when they are promoted, they come and oversee the people that have been doing better in their own station. I mean, that's wrong.
What explanation are you getting from the top brass of the police management?
I think the fact of the matter is, and as Reverend Mitchell quite rightly said, this issue was raised by the committee on a number of occasions. And the problem is what we've been highlighting over a couple of years. We have had a huge drive in terms of increasing the numbers of police, and we haven't looked at quality. There is no real career pathing in the police, and that should be one of the priorities at this stage, is to career path that every police officer should know. If this is the courses I've done, if this is how I perform, I have all the right, as the next person, to move to the next position. That in itself would be the solution. That is what we need, is proper career pathing for every single police officer. Discussions with them to say, where do you want to be in the police? And then sit down with them and plan how they're going to become the best police officer that they can be, but also within the interest field that they as a police officer might have.
We'll have to hold it there for a moment. We have to go for a commercial break, but we will continue and focus again on the Ndluli saga and the police amendment bill. Don't go away.